Support comes from Thomas Nelson Community College, now becoming Virginia Peninsula Community College, the first choice to start a bachelor's degree since tuition is one-third the cost of four-year schools. More at tncc.edu.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Barbara Hamley. Earlier this month, Supreme Court Justice nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson endured 4 days of grueling testimony before United States senators during her confirmation hearing. Her sentencing record as a trial judge was under intense scrutiny, and many Republican senators labeled her as soft on sexual predators. But were they talking about her record or talking to their base before the upcoming November elections? Just one of the topics we will explore during today's Claville report on SCOTUS politics. But first, it's day 6 of our spring membership drive and your opportunity to support Another View. Joining me to talk about why we want you to become a member of WHRV is Another View producer Lisa Godley and phone screener extraordinaire Dr. Barry Graham. Barry, are you with me?
Absolutely.
Fantastic, because my producer has disappeared. Okay. I have no idea where she is.
Well, I am here. I am ready to take those calls. And most importantly, I am ready to talk to people about why I love Another View, because I am a lifelong learner and I have learned so much, Barbara, through you and your program.
Oh, I so appreciate that. And I want everyone to dial 1-800-940-7170. That is the number to call. We have a $2,000 challenge this hour. So if we raise $2,000, we will get an additional $2,000. We can do this, Another View listeners, because you come through for us each and every drive, and we so appreciate your support. 1-800-940-7170. So, Barry, I know you've been a fan of the show since day one, which we truly appreciate.
Absolutely, Barbara. And I didn't always have the opportunity to catch it. I was teaching school in those days. Sometimes I would slip out at noon, but I didn't always get the opportunity to catch the program, but I was always a fan of it when I was able to hear it. And now that I have retired from teaching and I'm here all the time and a part of the team, I just love Thursdays, and I love the engaging conversations, the wonderful experts that you bring in, and everything about the show, how it is in tune. I think today is an excellent example. You touch local and regional issues, but yet you also touch those national issues, like on today's program, and how vital it is to have these conversations.
We were, when Another View was first birthed, and actually, as you know, we started on television.
That's right.
And then we moved to radio in 2011, and there was some skepticism. People wanted to know, oh, really? Are they going to really like to listen to issues that primarily affect the African-American community? But our listeners are like you, Barry. They are lifelong learners. They are curious. They want to know what's going on. They want to know the truth behind things that are happening, and we have a bit of everyone listening to the show, and we really, really appreciate that, because our goal in producing the show is to give the African American community another view of itself, and the greater community another view of the African American community. Lisa and I have been in television news for many, many years, and quite frankly, we were tired of the narrative of African-American equals black men in handcuffs. And we wanted to show that we are a much more diverse, much richer community that has a lot to offer to Hampton Roads. And Hampton Roads, we so appreciate you all embracing us. So become a member. You get a chance to support Another View and all the programs that are happening on WHRV. 1-800-940-7170 are the numbers to call to become a member of this great show.
And we are such a better community because of it, because of the conversations and the better understanding. And that's really what public community-based radio is all about, if you think about it. And so you have the opportunity to join us in this endeavor. You support the radio station, and the domino effect, Barbara, is that you also are really supporting a better community because of it. And that's the root of community-based radio, like what we have here at WHRV. Aren't we lucky?
we lucky? We are so lucky to have this opportunity. And if you don't want to call in, you can go to whrv.org and make your pledge of support. But do support us, because what happens is, as the audience, I'm sure, is well aware, we have to pay for all of the programming, whether it's locally produced or whether we get it nationally. Right, Barry?
Absolutely. A lot of people think, you're public radio, you get all things considered for free. No, that is not true at all. Oh, gee, these things just magically fall into your lap and you're able to broadcast them. We have to pay uplink fees. We have to buy the programs, basically, that we air here. So it truly is remarkable the way it all comes together. But that is, to be perfectly honest with you, a point that I very often have to tell people, oh, no, it doesn't work that way.
It is not free. 1-800-940-7170 are the numbers to call to become a member of WHRV FM. Join the public WHRO public media family. And it truly is a family. I know that there are 24,000 people out there already who have become members. I'm a member. Every one of our team that put together the Another View show, we are all members of the show, and we truly appreciate it. So won't you join us by dialing 1-800-940-7170. We're getting ready to start Another View for today, so stay with us.
Discussing today's topics from an African American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Now is the time to make your pledge of support for Another View. We have a $2,000 challenge, which means every dollar you give between now and the end of the show will be matched up to $2,000. Call 800-940-7170 or go to whrv.org and become a member. And a very special thank you to all of you who have already joined the family. And we're looking forward to welcoming the rest of you who are making your pledge now. 1-800-940-7170. So the SCOTUS confirmation hearing for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is done, but the Senate Judiciary Committee has postponed its vote on the nominee until next week. Republicans asked for the delay, saying they're still missing confidential sentencing documents to help them evaluate Jackson's record. Here to tell us what this all means and the backstory behind SCOTUS politics is Dr. Eric Claville, Director of the Center of African American Public Policy and the Interim Special Assistant to the President at Norfolk State University. And Eric, I haven't seen you in 2 years. How are you?
Barbara, I'm doing great. It's great to be back in studio. I made it. We had a little traffic issue, but I made it. So thank you so much.
Oh, I am so happy that you're here. And I will let you know, audience, we also are going to be talking about the slap heard around the world, but we will get to that later on because right now we have some important things to talk about in terms of the Supreme Court.
Absolutely.
So yesterday, Senator Susan Collins of Maine announced that she will vote for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson as the next Supreme Court justice. She's a Republican, obviously, from Maine. Do you think other Republicans will follow
I don't.
her suit?
No.
She's it?
I think she's
the lone wolf?
I think she's the lone one. And her record shows that she's voted for to confirm justices across the board for both Republican and Democratic presidents. So that was really the person that they were looking at to be that one. However, you have the Democrat out of Arizona, which is the newly elected senator. That's the wild card there. And Susan Collins would be that 50th vote if she doesn't vote to confirm. But behind the scenes, they do have all 50 Democratic votes. And then, of course,
because I thought Joe Manchin might have been the fly in the wall, so to speak, or the fly in the ointment, so to speak, as the saying goes.
Barbara, the interesting thing about that is that Joe Manchin himself, he plays the politics as it relates to his state, of course, being a red state, economics, and some social policies. But with this particular vote for this particular justice is one that's not going to change the court any. Is really going to keep the court as is, as it relates to the doctrine that she follows very closely to Justice Breyer, whose position that she would end up taking when confirmed, and it's not going to push the needle anywhere. It is a historic nomination, historic confirmation, historic vote, because this is the first time a black woman, African American woman, has ever been considered nominated for the Supreme Court, let alone to be confirmed in 230 years. Mm-hmm. So that's the historic and significant part of it. Of course, her parents, growing up like our parents, both HBCU graduates, and raising their kids the way that we were raised, that, education is the key, and supporting them and working to push that. And then the father also, becoming an attorney himself. So, it's really a story. It's an American story, but it's also an African American story in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that, the Republicans asked for this postponement?
Yes.
Because they're still digging into her sentencing records, so to speak. Right. Is that a dog whistle? I mean, what's going on? What's the real reasoning behind this whole push that she's soft on crime?
Yeah, well, they have to put up. Well, obviously, I was fortunate enough to be in the room during the hearing for one day of the questioning on a Wednesday, and hearing the speeches going back and forth and so forth. It was very very surreal, and you saw the Republicans utterly failed in their attempt to discredit her in any type of way. Mm-hmm. So this is really an attempt to find something that they can hold up and say, oh, see this? This happened in, 1996, this one sentence here, not looking at the totality of the circumstances, which, she articulated very well in saying that you have to look at the totality of the circumstances in order to do, to make a decision on something. So that's what they're really looking for, that one thing to hang their hat on to say, this is the reason why I cannot confirm her because of this.
But do you think they will find teeth in that?
Yeah, I mean, you can spin anything for your constituents, so they definitely will.
So it was interesting to me because there was a big article in the Washington Post where they found Wesley Hawkins. That name was said 30 times during the hearings. He was the gentleman who she sentenced to 3 months. Well, when the Republicans presented it, they said she sentenced him to 3 months in prison for child pornography. And they found him. He's 27 years old now. He was 19 when he was sentenced. He admits that he is gay, and that he was searching for himself. I mean, basically, right. and trying to figure out what was going on. The thing that didn't come up though in the hearings, at least I didn't hear it, and you tell me if I'm incorrect. But so she sentenced him to 3 months in prison, followed by 3 months of home detention, 6 years of supervision. He's required to register as a sex offender for 10 years, and his photo and address appears publicly on the sex offender registry. She told him during the sentencing time, that this is an opportunity or a sentence that allows you, Mr. Hawkins, to spend enough time in prison to understand and appreciate the consequences of your actions, but not so long that you will be subjected to harm in prison or introduced to incorrigible influences such that you are lost to society forever. And during the hearing, she repeatedly said to the senators, you're not looking at the full picture.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, that's in the record. Everyone had that record. As a matter of fact, over 70,000 pages were presented, for her side. Wow. That she had to present, and they were given they have over 150,000, about 120, 130,000 pages of her record and so forth. So that's a correct reading. That is the record. And again, she pointed that out, but then of course, you had one senator who's like, I just want to concentrate on this, forget about that, which really made them look pretty unintelligent, pretty sad, when they did that.
So, Eric, what's the purpose of doing these hearings? I mean, for the American people, what is the purpose of the hearings? And if you're not going to focus on law, because really, and at the end of the day, that's why you have Supreme Court justices, right? Absolutely. To interpret the Constitution and the law. If you're going to bring up all these other topics, what does that do for the American people's understanding of what this all means.
So I wanted to mention, you said Hawkins, that's the name that they mentioned. So they want to have a Willie Horton moment, right? So for those listeners that are listening, remember Willie Horton, the Dukakis, who was leading by 20 points over Reagan. They had to find that one thing, and weekend pass, Willie Horton, Dukakis, soft on crime. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun.
And that really is a trope that they run against Democrats anyway.
Absolutely.
The whole idea of being soft on crime. Okay.
Barbara, you're exactly right. And that's what they were trying to do. So what does it mean? The majority of these hearings for federal judges nobody really pays attention to them. It's only the Supreme Court. And just in recent time, the Supreme Court hearings have really gotten must-see TV. And I think of Judge Bork and Clarence Thomas. Those were must-see TV. And after those two, we've really seen a major hit on Supreme Court justice nominees going before the confirmation process. There have been several that have gone to kind of sell through, more specifically in recent time, Neil Gorsuch. You had another under the Obama administration that sell through, no big fanfare. But the others, I mean, if you go back and take a look at Kavanaugh, and what took place there, he's been confirmed, just like Judge Brown Jackson was confirmed, on the district court and appellate court before getting the Supreme Court nod. But again, you search and try to bring up that one thing that's going to try to discredit that person when they serve on the bench. And keep in mind that these individuals are vetted, to the heel. You got FBI vetting.
Talk about that. What did they do?
So, if you're up, first of all, you have these think tanks that actually do the research and provide a recommendation for these are the justices that we think could be the next individual, the professional legal scholars that could toe the line for this particular ideology, right? So let's just say the conservative and the liberal side, right? And then those are given to the legislators, and they're selected as a recommendation and then provided to the president and say, hey, this is a slate of individuals. But even before that, those individuals' records they are scoured. Their life is scoured through, their legal decisions are scoured through, everything. It's just literally peeled apart. So by the time you get to the point where you are considered by the president, only thing left is FBI, investigation.
Oh, so the FBI hasn't stepped in before your name gets to the president for consideration.
Correct. Okay. So because once you become considered, then you go through that official governmental process. But before that, there's a private process that you go through. And then from there, you have firms that actually get you prepared to go before this process. So you have firms that specialize in this, and they get you ready. They get you ready, they get your family ready. They go through some questioning, make sure that you have the type of demeanor in order to stand there and take the questioning, and whether you can take that, because there are some things that will be said that will go to your core, that will make you rethink, your opinion about some people, and probably question yourself. So you have to get ready for that. And that's what those firms do. They help you to get ready for it. And then from there, you go and then have your meetings, and then the process starts. So, every justice on that bench, I respect them because of their career. They worked hard to get there, but also going through that process. To be the boss, you're going to have to pay the price. And they paid the price.
So for the average American, it really doesn't impact them until there is a ruling that impacts them.
Correct. So, absolutely. And Barbara, the funny thing is because, you get thousands of cases that come to the Supreme Court every year. They only pick out 130 some odd, for actual arguments. So out of that, your chances of getting to the Supreme Court are less than 1%, right? So they choose those cases that are going to have a major impact on society. And those are those cases that really challenge some constitutional norms, right? So, you're going to get issues that deal with 14th Amendment. You're going to get issues that deal with search and seizure. You're going to get issues that deal with any civil rights and things of that nature, right? The big thing now, of course, is education. Of course, we're looking at affirmative action programs, admissions programs, and things of that nature. That's coming back around. Abortion, things of that nature. So those are the main cases that you're going to get that impact society as a whole. On a personal level, just the people that file the case, is whether it becomes overturned or ruled in your favor impacts you personally, which that's not the majority of Americans. That's less than 1% of Americans that would ever happen to.
So is there a better process? Is there a better way to determine a Supreme Court justice, you think? Just in your opinion. Yeah,
so, in my opinion, and to me, again, so this is getting into the geekish Claville, right?
Is there a geekish Claville?
Absolutely,
Really?
absolutely. I'm an avid C-SPAN watcher, and I'm proud of it. C-SPAN 1, 2, and 3, and that's how I wind down, right? I watch British Parliament, because I just love the very witty banter back and forth. So to answer your question, no, this is the best process because it's the best process that works so far. It's just that when you get politics involved into things and personal agendas, it becomes a little muddied, but still the process still works. And I'll say this to our listeners, and I say this all the time, that, our American system it works. It works. It's not perfect, but it works because we have an opportunity to voice our opinion, to yell at the top of our lungs and challenge things in the court. And when we win, things change, right? And there's no coup, right? Nobody's poisoning us with chemical weapons or anything like that. Now, of course, we have had some, things that have been thwarted. Of course, we've had January 6th, J6 committee, which is coming up. And we got to do another show on that because that is going to be a mess.
Well, actually, and moving into that whole piece, because it, again, involving the Supreme Court, the whole thing, everything that's come out this week about Jenny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, should he recuse himself?
He should. And that's, he's been urged to by Mitch McConnell. I think that's the right move. It's a smart move. I think also there's got to be a talk with, his wife. I mean, there's got to be a come to Jesus moment because it's like, listen, do you understand what you're doing here? And but I think this shows how deep. Now, these are all intelligent people, right? Educated people, but how deep conspiracy theories go. And the DC is a bubble, right? Mm-hmm. It's a bubble for many reasons because a lot of times we're talking to each other. You're talking to stakeholders, movers, shakers. You're talking to people that can make the world move, right? And you forget about everybody else. I mean, you really do. Like, hey, there's that guy that just got off work working a 12-hour shift. Or there's this person over in, the Midwest. Or there's his family in, the Delta down in Mississippi, And so you kind of forget about it. You got to get trapped in your own world and you become hyped up in the emotion. And unfortunately, what happened, we see the damage by our last president that pushed those conspiracy theories that were on the fringes to the forefront. And you got some of the most connected people in the world still believing that lie. And then you got people that sacrifice their own profession.
Believing the lie that President Biden did not win the election.
Yes. Yeah. That is the lie. And that, and the criminal acts that were committed by the president, I'm calling them criminal acts because when you ask a secretary of state to change the election, can you just find me 12,000 votes? I mean, no, you can't do it. That's why he actually at Ratzenberger, that's why he brought in the attorney so they could hear this call because it's like, this is illegal. You can't do that. So, the J6 committee is going to look at that. And, some of the talk is what could this do to damage Thomas's legacy, right, from the conservative side. So, his wife is going to have to pretty much be quiet throughout until he leaves the bench. I mean, she just can't be active anymore because this is something that the Democrats can harp on and jump on. Now, I doubt if they do a good job at doing it, but it's something they could do.
But Eric, so, little old me, when I do, through my consulting company, when I do projects, there are 50 million forms I have to fill out about conflict of interest and what are you involved in and what do you invest in and, all of that.
Yep.
That doesn't happen for Supreme Court justices, or does it, and they don't enforce it?
Yeah. So if there's a conflict of interest, they do recuse themselves. For example, if there's a company that they work for or a school that they went to, they usually would recuse themselves.
Is that why Judge Jackson said that she would recuse herself from the Harvard case if it,
right?
If she were confirmed and had to deal with that?
That is correct.
Okay.
I think it was a good political move too, but it's also the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but nobody oversees the justices in terms of whether or not they actually recuse themselves. Or, what's the checks and balances, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Well, the court kind of polices themselves, right? But there's a high level of integrity on the court level. Mm-hmm. You have 9 justices there that see each other every day. They're friends. There's, the story that Scalia and Ginsburg, they were very good friends. He would come sing happy birthday to her. Now, their ideologies are totally opposite, but they were friends. And that's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty of our profession. We are adversaries, but at the end of the day, we meet up and, talk about old stories.
That's what the attorneys do, huh?
That's exactly what we do.
So today there are pastors from around the country that are on the steps of SCOTUS. There have been black women groups, all along who have been very, very supportive. Does that make a difference in terms of the senators and their votes and all of that? It
does. Anytime the public shows up to support an initiative or not, or to speak for or against something, or to support a person, it speaks volumes. You want to see that. I had the opportunity to attend, and some of our current students at the law school, Southern University Law Center, where I graduated as my alma mater and also teach constitutional law there. We're able to attend. 50 students came up for that. Wow. As part of the initiative for the National Organization of Black Law Students, NOBUSHE, which is, BALSA, which is what Judge Jackson is also a part of. And out of those students, 4 of those students were chosen to actually go into the room, into the Judiciary Committee. And one of them was my former student. And I featured them on my show on Sunday on WNSB at 1 o'clock. And so with that, those students that are there, Donna Brazil was there taking photos with them. There was posted, they were posting things and so forth, but it was CNN covered them, ABC News covered them, Worldwide News covered them, NPR covered their story, and they were quoted in that. And it was just phenomenal to hear, about their experience, because they're impressionable still at that point. And they left class and say, hey, we're going to leave 3 days. We're going to come here because this is a historic moment. And they're going to take that moment, and it's going to help to shape the rest of their career, because they were there, they saw it. And, African-American women and men were both there and took part of that.
People don't realize just how much of an impact this really has from a historical perspective and a perspective of moving forward with race relations, with all of it in terms of making our country a better place. So last comment about this, and then on the other side of the pledge break, we're going to talk about what happened on Sunday. But you took issue with the impassioned comments of Senator Cory Booker during the hearings. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, it's every senator has an opportunity, to voice their opinion and ask questions. I think Ted Cruz was totally out of line, in what he did, but that's Ted Cruz. That's Senator Cruz. I think Senator Booker also was basically looking for an emotional response. If you go back and take a look at the tape, he did the same thing during the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing with the witness that was there. So, if for somebody, and again, this is the geekish Claville, if for someone who's like, hey, can we get a substantive question asked, or can we get an analysis of a case or something? But that was just me.
Well, but it appealed to a lot of people.
It did.
That they thought that was a very powerful way and a very supportive way of her, because she had pretty much taken good grilling that day.
Yeah. but again, that's just, there was nothing wrong with it. It's just that I it's confirmation here.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Dr. Eric Claville, Director of the Center for African American Public Policy and Interim Special Assistant to the President at Norfolk State University. Our topic today is SCOTUS politics and the Oscars. But first, let's check in with Lisa and Barry on how we're doing to meet our challenge. It's time to support what you love, another view. And I'm looking at the screen and I see we are a little under $800. A little over $800 left.
Actually,
to meet
we have an
our
update.
balance.
We have a new update. We're only $640 away.
Yay!
That's
Absolutely. 1-800-940-7170 are the numbers to call. Is the number to call, rather, to make your pledge of support. Won't you become a member? Lisa, we are so happy that we found you.
Yeah, I was hanging out in the parking lot waiting on a very special person.
I wonder who that was.
I tell you, see, that's the thing people don't understand about live radio. Things happen.
Every single light.
Absolutely. But Lisa, talk to us about why people should become a member of WHRV.
I mean, where else do you get this kind of conversation? Where else does this take place? We have something very unique happening here with Another View, and I am so proud to be a part of it. I am just elated every time we go on the air because we just bring you perspectives that you just don't get on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
So it just warms my heart to be here, and come on, make those pledges and keep us here and let us continue to bring you the things that we know you want to hear.
And, Lisa, I was telling folks earlier, Barry and I were talking about the fact that we have to pay for programming here at WHRV. It's not just given to us, and it's not federal dollars flowing in or whatever other myths that are out there. But it's membership support that brings the stories and brings the type of programming that you enjoy and that you listen to. 800-940-7170 or WHRV.org. We do have a $2,000 challenge for this hour, meaning if we raise $2,000 within the hour, then we will get an additional $2,000. So
we are counting on you. We are counting on you to get us there. We know you will. You haven't let us down yet. So.
Absolutely. So, Lisa, when we first started Another View, what did you think? Did you think that we'd be 11 years in and still going strong?
There was a prayer that we would be 11 years in and still going strong. But yeah, we started out on television, and it was phenomenal to be able to have that format, on television. Then when we moved over to radio, we had more time, and it's just been amazing. And the community support has been incredible.
Absolutely.
It really has.
And Barry, you get the opportunity to talk to the audience because you're the first line of defense.
I am. I'm
when
on
they
the front
call
lines
in,
here.
You're on the front lines.
Absolutely. And I get the calls, and I get the background and the information, and I get their story too. So it's such a unique perspective for me. I get the wonderful conversation like what we're hearing today. And I wish people could see how engaged, we're here inside the control room here, and, Todd is manning the board, making sure the audio gets out, and Lisa's producing the show. But, we are so engaged in the conversation, while you are doing the show. It's just amazing.
And I have to tell you, our audience, sometimes there is a glass wall between myself and my guest in the studio and the control room. And there are times when I'm trying to get someone's attention and they are so engrossed in the show that it's like I'm waving my hand going, hello.
Because we're talking amongst ourselves.
Yes, exactly. We're having our own conversations.
Exactly, but it just means that you're engaged. 1-800-940-7170. That's the number to call. We only come to you 3 times a year, and so that has changed since we've been on the air in terms of the amount of time that we come and ask for your support. So won't you support us? We truly appreciate it. Another View truly appreciates it. WHRV appreciates it, and WHRO Public Media as a whole, because we are education, we are classical, we are news and information, and we are TV. So we're a little bit of everything, and we're locally owned. and we are owned by the 22 school divisions in the area, and it is a unique ownership model, and it works for us here. But we need your support. 800-940-7170. Lisa, I'll give you the last 30 seconds before we go back to the show.
Don't miss this opportunity to become a part of our family. Don't miss this opportunity to support what you love. Pick up the phone, give us a call, show us some love, and keep us here, because we love being here and we love bringing information to you each and every week. So for those of you who have already made a donation, contribution, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely. Thank you, and we appreciate you. So, Dr. Claville, let's go back and talk about the slap hurled around the world. First of all, were you watching the Oscars? Did you see it live?
I don't watch Oscars.
You don't?
No,
okay, so you didn't see it. So you've seen and read up on everything since then. So what was your initial reaction, response when you heard about it?
So I woke up at like 3 that morning because I went to bed kind of early that night and checked my phone, and my family text stream. It's 8, well, including me, is 19 of us in our family text stream. And I have a large family, by the way. And, and I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it was just message after message. So, of course, I looked at it, and, I looked at the clip, and at first I thought it was a skit. I was like, wait a minute. So I started to wake up, and I literally looked at it from like several different angles for almost a half hour. It's like, no, this couldn't have happened. So finally, when it came out that it actually did happen, I would like to say this first. Chris Rock is a better man than me. He's a much better man than me, because I would be in jail like right now. It's hands down. I mean,
I got to tell you, and you guys know I don't normally talk a lot about personal things, but my husband, Maxie, does emotional intelligence training, and he wrote an incredible blog this week about that very fact, about Chris Rock and how he was able to manage his emotions through the whole thing. And that's a conversation that we're not hearing a lot about. Right. But he really took the high road.
No, absolutely. I mean, he turned the other cheek. That was scripture. I mean, that was scripture, picture perfect. I wouldn't have done that in that situation. First of all, if someone's coming to me at that type of thing, I'm getting into the defensive stance anyway, getting into my space. But so that's just, again, I just want to give Chris Rock his credit, because I think that he showed tremendous poise, tremendous dignity in what he did. I mean, hats off to him. He deserves every credit that he gets that comes out of this. I think that Will was definitely wrong. He actually committed an assault and battery on live television that was circulating on social media across the world billions of times. I thought that the Academy should have immediately removed him from his seat.
From physically removed him.
Mm-hmm. I think that the LAPD should have been called, and also him taken into custody.
Now, Chris said he didn't want to press charges, though.
Now, police can, and district attorneys, we call them Commonwealth attorneys here, can indict and arrest even if you don't want to press charges.
Really?
Yeah, you do it all the time. It happens all the time. So that could have happened. Now, of course, I'm saying that because if this was a regular situation, for example, if you have a disagreement at home and you're in the street and somebody slaps and someone calls police, they're like, I don't want to press charges. Well, we're going to arrest them and also book them. Happens all the time. So if this was a regular situation, it would happen. But unfortunately, what this showed, and then he gets up and talk about God, which is crazy. But anyway, so what this shows is, unfortunately, the biggest night in Hollywood for Hollywood, and the biggest night for African Americans in Hollywood. You have African Americans, men, or a man who is one of the biggest box office stars and who's in the public eye. He understands they've been in the public eye longer than he's not. They see that a black man with access, education, and wealth resorts to violence because someone said something about him.
About his wife.
Well, him and his wife, right. Which, of course, as African Americans in comedy, we played a dozen. I mean, that's what we do, right? Richard Pryor, Dolomite, Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Kings of Comedy. They come on stage, they talking about you in the audience. So what this also has done for comedians, this has given comedians at comedy clubs a pause, because now, if nothing happens, the regular public says, hey, you talk about me or somebody else, I'm going to come and assault you and I shouldn't get arrested. But unfortunately, what this shows is that these individuals this individual acted very badly and shamed a lot, the biggest night for African Americans. Because keep in mind, even with Black Lives Matter movement, even before that, there's been a push to include more African Americans in Oscars. Well, you had African Americans hosting, we had Best Actor, Director, producing the whole nine, and look what happens, right? And you're dropping F-bombs on television, which FCC is going to fine him. You can't do that. So this is what happens. So for people that say they support what he did, I want you to ask yourself this question. When it gets hot, because the summer is coming, and you have young Black men that resort to violence because somebody said something about their mama, are you going to tweet and support them too?
Let's ask the audience. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call to talk to the show. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. So, Eric, let me tell you this. I'm listening to Will Smith's autobiography on Audible right now. It's called Will. And
yeah, I'm not listening.
And but I had already started listening to it before Sunday happened. The thing, I don't excuse what he did. And so let me lay that out. Please, audience, hear what I am saying. I am not excusing what he did at all. But what I saw, based on his autobiography and his talking about what happened with him in his family, there was domestic violence. And there was an incident where his father beat the crap out of his mother. And his other two siblings tried to jump in and stop it, and they were, smacked away, and he froze. And there is a theme going through all of his relationships from that point. When you watch the video Sunday, originally he laughed at the joke.
He was laughing.
He was laughing at the joke,
Absolutely.
right? And then he looked at Jada's face, and to me, I saw a mental health snap moment where for whatever reason, because he's got this whole thing going on with him, that he felt that he had to go up and do something to defend his woman because he didn't do that, as a child. Now, I'm not excusing what he did. What it concerns me more so is just how important, mental health is and the issues that we have to deal with. But our phones are coming. Let's see. Do we have a call there? Let's talk to Lee in Norfolk. Hi, Lee. You're on the air.
Hi. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to call and say that I'm in support of what Will Smith did, just because he was defending, his wife, and he was specifically defending her for her disability. And I just think that that's, I think that it's important to stand up for the people that you love. And I think it's important especially to stand up for, disabled Black women, specifically because Chris Rock was, I even though he didn't throw a punch, what he was doing on the stage was violent, and he was targeting her based off of her disability. And I just think that Will Smith did right by, his wife.
Okay. Thanks, Lee, for the call. I appreciate that. Anything you want to respond, Eric?
I
just have a different take on it.
Yeah, I disagree with the caller 100%. First of all, I've always known Jada Pinkett to have short hair. I never known her to have long hair, except in maybe one a movie or something, or when she was on the Cosby spinoff show, different world. Mm-hmm. Other than that, but at the same time, I didn't know she had alopecia, and alopecia is not a disability. I mean, you can still operate in society. I mean, it's a physically disfiguring type of ailment, and people suffer with it. So I'm not making light of that. And at the same time, it's coming. I mean, I've heard worse for Chris Rock is given to people. And again, everybody go back and take a look at Kings of Comedy, please. And you'll be like, somebody should have been shot after those jokes going after people, right? As opposed to being slapped. You cannot, no person on this earth can support anyone going up and using violence for words. What they should have done was use emotional intelligence and said, listen, let's talk about this behind stage, or let's have a conversation.
Okay, let's talk to Mark in Norfolk. Hi, Mark, you're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon to you and your guest, Dr. Claville.
Hey, good.
Hey.
I just want to say I agree 100% with Dr. Claville, and just really highlight. I know you touched on it, but what Chris Rock was able to do is nothing short of amazing. There was so much riding on that night. What a lot of people may not know. Yes, it was produced by African American, but also the African American had the entire lump sum of catering. The music director was Black, all the way across the board. And if Chris Rock had made the wrong decision, the whole house could have fallen down. So for him to have been able to be, have the state of mind and to be cognizant of what he was actually responsible for, I just think kudos to Chris Rock.
Okay, Mark, thanks for the call. We appreciate that. I know there's a back and forth. Now, let me bring up another point that is going on. So there's a real interesting conversation going on Facebook that was initiated by News 3 anchor Barbara Sierra. Now, she said that the incident reminded her of her grandparents' teachings, that something that all of us over 60 and probably a little younger than that were taught. And the quote was, we were taught that because many people believe the worst of us as Black people, we represented our race every day that we set foot in public. Now, she also quoted Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who said in a recent column, quote, "One of the main talking points from those supporting the systemic racism in America is characterizing Blacks as more prone to violence and less able to control their emotions. Smith gave comfort to the enemy by providing them with the perfect optics they were dreaming of." Now, there's been some pushback to this idea of Black folks as individuals having to carry the weight of the entire race. Roger Chesley wrote, for example, quote, "Until society and white people start lumping all Black people together when we do something good, they don't get to lump us all together when we screw up." So there's also that conversation that's going on. Your reaction?
Yeah, I agree with Sierra. Hello, Sierra. How you doing? I agree with her 100%. And as far as Brother Chesney, that'll be ideal, but that's not the case. So you have to be cognizant of reality, right? Yeah, we all want to be, judged on this and that. No, the first thing people see is what you look like, okay? And what you look like based upon what's put in popular culture and what people are exposed to, that's how they're going to relate to you until you change the narrative. That's reality. Okay. So let's just make sure we understand that you can't operate in an ideal world because we don't live in an ideal world. I agree with what the caller said. I mean, again, I give Chris Rock his kudos, and he deserves every benefit that's coming to him from this. And Will deserves, whatever pay he's got coming from this. I mean, of course, I believe in grace and mercy, and I hope he gets it right, but again, Chris Rock a better man than me because I would have made the wrong decision. I'll tell you that right now.
And I tell you, in the blog that I was talking about, Maxie talked about the fact that he did not retaliate. Mm-hmm. He addressed Will Smith's anger. He continued to do his job of introducing the next Oscar winner. Mm-hmm. So he really did take the high road, and we need, I think, more conversation about that. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. William joins us from Newport News. Hi, William. You're on the air.
Yeah, hey, Barbara, Russ Brown here. How you doing today?
Okay, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay.
Good.
So my thought process is, if Will and Chris were standing next to each other when that happened, and then he backslapped him or slapped him, I would understand it a little better. But he had a long walk to go. So he was thinking about something when he was headed towards Chris, and then if Chris felt that there was going to be a problem, he wouldn't have leaned forward to hear what Will had to say. He would have pulled back if he felt that there was some danger. So to me, I heard the story, Will with the violence, mm-hmm. but also you had time to think. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. He had time to think on that walk up there.
Got you, Russ. Okay, thank you for that call. Erica saw you nodding your head.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But, we've all been in situations. I've been in many situations where I want to respond differently. But,
mm-hmm.
You got to take a deep breath. You got to go outside, kick some rocks, do something, but you cannot respond in that way. You can't. But in self-defense, you can.
Gary joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Gary. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning. Don't forget to sing Barry happy birthday like Gina did.
Oh, you're right. Thank you so much, Gary, for reminding us.
Yeah. Second thing, 2 wrongs do not make a right. Chris Rock shouldn't have made the comment about a medical condition somebody's going through. Will Smith should not have gone up there and smacked him. Take the color out of it. I happen to be white. I find it a problem. If it had been 2 white people, I still would have found it a problem.
Okay.
On both ways.
Got you. Thank you so much for the call, Gary. We appreciate that. And I think that for African Americans, and Eric, you tell me if you agree with this, that it goes back to that whole conversation that Barbara started on Facebook, the whole idea of how we feel this responsibility to represent the race in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, I live that every day, and that's the reality.
All of us do.
Yeah, that's the reality that we live in.
Exactly.
So, but at the same time, yes, it's wrong across the board. The caller is right. But what we know about what was brought up, about how impactful that night was for African Americans after years, decades of saying include more black people. Mm-hmm. I mean, basically he just overshadowed one of the biggest moments of definitely his career, but one of the biggest moments of African Americans' career.
Charles joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Charles. You're on the air.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay.
My call.
Uh-huh.
Hey, a couple things. When I was watching it and I saw the joke, I was looking at Jada's dress, which was kind of an olivey, camouflagey green. And, I didn't even think about her short haircut quite as much as, maybe, the comment was maybe just as pointedly aimed at her attire as it was her hairstyle. So, and I don't know if that's just me, but I think that's something that no one's addressed. Mm-hmm. I also wonder is this a career ender for Will? There's certainly been careers ended for less, or is does he breathe some rarefied air that maybe is going to keep him in business?
We'll see. That's yet to be seen. Thanks, Charles, for the call. What do you think? Is this a career ender?
I mean, he's going to get some repercussions because of it initially, but again, it depends on what fringe you make in Hollywood, right, or in any industry. And so it just all depends. You have those that support him and those that don't.
Do you think they should take away his Oscar?
No. They should not allow him to accept it and give that speech. They should not have allowed that. And when they asked him to leave, he refused. I mean, who are you? And then for the Oscars, I'm like, where are your bodyguards? I mean, come on. You going to let a guy say, no, I'm not leaving? I mean, what? It's absolutely ridiculous. So it shows hypocrisy across the board. And again, for people who are defending this, when individuals, you see it on the news, get shot and killed because somebody says something about them, then what is your response to that?
Mm-hmm. James joins us from Williamsburg. Hi, James. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
Hey, I give Chris kudos. I give Chris kudos for holding himself because I think he had his mind on his money and his money on his mind. And when
I would have lost that
money.
Google.
I had to Google to find out if Chris knew about Jada's ailment. He did not. So that's like going into a club. They don't pass out index cards saying, okay, don't talk about this. Don't talk about that. Hey, I'm one of my legs missing. Don't talk about that. He's a comedian. He just did his comedian thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now his ticket sales are soaring.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. You're right, James. His ticket sales are soaring.
No, the caller's actually right, Barbara, because again, go back and take a look at some of the past Oscars and the jokes that were there, but also go take a look at black comedy. I mean, I grew up.
Dozens.
I grew up with Richard Pryor, live on Sunset Strip. I grew up with Eddie Murphy. Dolomite. I didn't grow up with him, but I listened to those tapes. Esther from Sanford and Son. I mean, one of the dirtiest mouths you ever want to hear. Kings of Comedy, Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, Set Entertainer. Go listen to those, okay? It's worse than said. Mm-hmm. Absolutely worse. And like you said, he's a comedian, man. He's a comedian. That's what comedians do. They make jokes about people and things.
So with that, the question is then, are we spending, obviously that topic has much more interest than Ketanji Brown Jackson. And I think that's sad.
Absolutely. It's absolutely sad.
But she also,
because you got me to talk about it.
Well, exactly. I did get you to talk about it. But it also goes back to that whole point, our point about, carrying the weight of the community. She had to endure.
Yep.
And her demeanor and the way that she presented herself became was really evident and difficult. People don't understand what that pain means. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you were in the room with her.
When your integrity is challenged and your work ethic, your ethics, and some things come to you on a personal level and you cannot react, you cannot react. That's superhuman strength, right? You cannot react negatively.
The ultimate in emotional intelligence.
It's ultimate, and I talk about this. I'm a PK, Pentecostal preacher, and I think about Jesus on the cross, where what happened to him, false accusations, false trial, the whole nine, beaten, hung, nailed to the cross, whole nine, and he could have shown people who he really was. But you know what he said? He looked and said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And that's the type of strength that we have to show. And for us to show anything less would be less than, as we as a Christian nation would say, Christ-like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Eric Claville, it is so nice to have you back in studio. COVID is waning, we hope.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
And vaccines and all.
Absolutely. And vaccines and all of it. Absolutely. But thank you so much for your insight and helping us to understand this today. We appreciate that. And I want to give a heartfelt thanks to everyone who contributed this hour towards support of Another View and WHRV FM. And there's still time to show us some love. Call 800-940-7170 or go to WHRV.org and make your pledge of support. Lisa, Barry, what's up? Tell me what's happening.
62. So we made our goal.
Yay! Thank you, audience. That's fantastic.
Very excited. Still, there's time if you still want to make a contribution. We're not turning anything away. So we're just excited. Thank you all. Thank you all for supporting us and becoming a part of our family and just, always being there for Another View. We love being able to bring you something different each and every week. And we couldn't do it without you. So thank you. Thank you so much.
And guess what? We still have time because we want to go beyond our goal, don't we? So you can call 800-940-7170. If you're a new listener today and you enjoyed today's show, become a member because I guarantee you we have some great conversations and we have a lot of fun, don't we, Barry?
Absolutely. Every single program. So thank you so much, everybody. Keep calling.
1-800-940-7170 or go to WHRV.org and you can make your pledge of support there. And a really special thank you to everybody who has joined the family already. We could not do this show without you. And so we really appreciate it. And you know what? We also put our money where our mouths are because every member of our team is also a member of WHRO Public Media. And so I am very, very proud of that because you know what? They don't have to be. But we know why we do it, and we know why because we value this programming, and most of our guests actually are public media members, if not WHRV, wherever they happen to be from across the nation. So give us a call. Next week on Another View, practical advice to get a handle on your finances. Yes. Our theme music is an original composition created especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Todd Washburn is our audio engineer, and Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. Thank you so much for your support of Another View, and you still have time to make that pledge at WHRV.org. Be sure to join us again next Thursday at noon. It's Another View.
Support comes from Thomas Nelson Community College, now becoming Virginia Peninsula Community College, the first choice to start a career. Gain skills in fields like cybersecurity and education. More at tncc.edu.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever, whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.